A teenage boy sat alone in a roadside diner just outside Booneville, Kentucky, his hands wrapped around a chipped coffee mug he couldn't afford to refill. In front of him rested a single plate of food, a hot breakfast he'd saved for all week: eggs, toast, a strip of bacon. Simple, but precious. As he lifted his fork, his eyes drifted to the booth beside him. An elderly couple sat there in silence. No plates, no silverware, just two empty glasses and a quiet understanding between them. The boy froze. His stomach tightened, aching with hunger, but his gaze stayed locked on the couple. The woman's hands trembled as she folded them in her lap. The man stared at the tabletop, jaw clenched, pride holding him upright, while reality pressed down hard. The boy looked back at his food. Steam rose from the plate. He swallowed. Without calling attention to himself, he stood, picked up his plate, and gently slid it onto the couple's table. The sound of ceramic touching wood was soft, almost apologetic. The old man looked up, startled. His eyes widened. "Son, are you sure?" he whispered. The boy nodded once. The woman's eyes filled instantly. Tears spilled before she could stop them. "Thank you," she said, her voice breaking. The boy gave a small, shy smile. He didn't sit back down. He didn't wait for praise. He turned, pulled his jacket tighter, and stepped out into the cold Kentucky night, his hunger now sharper, but quieter somehow. That boy's name was Ethan Miller. He was 15 years old, undersized for his age, wearing a jacket 2 winters past its prime and sneakers taped at the soles. He lived with his mother in a weathered rental on the edge of town, where the heater worked only when it felt like it, and the pantry was often more hope than food. Ethan worked after school wherever someone would hire him, stacking firewood, hauling scrap, cleaning garages. Every dollar mattered. That breakfast had been his one treat, the one thing he'd promised himself. But Ethan carried more than hunger. His father had died in a highway accident when Ethan was 10. No insurance, no safety net, just a legacy of calloused hands and a single sentence his father used to say whenever life got heavy: "Character shows when nobody's watching." As Ethan walked home that night, stomach hollow, breath fogging the air, he repeated those words under his breath like armor. The next morning, just after sunrise, a knock echoed through their small house. Ethan opened the door to find a man in a tailored coat standing on the porch. Tall, confident, familiar in a way that made Ethan's chest tighten. Behind him stood the elderly couple from the diner. The man stepped forward. "My name is Richard Holloway," he said. "I own Holloway Logistics." Ethan recognized the name instantly. A self-made multi-millionaire. His face had appeared on local news segments and billboards across the state. Richard's voice was calm but deliberate. "Last night I watched you give away the only meal you had," he said. "You didn't look around. You didn't ask for recognition. You just gave." He reached into his coat and pulled out a thick envelope. Inside were documents: a full academic scholarship through college, housing assistance for Ethan's mother, and a small trust set aside to make sure they'd never face that kind of night again. Ethan's knees nearly buckled. His mother, standing behind him, covered her mouth as tears streamed down her face. She hadn't spoken yet. She couldn't. Richard leaned in slightly and said words that would spread through Booneville by sunset. "Most people give when it's easy. You gave when it hurt. The world doesn't forget that." By afternoon, the town knew. People who had never noticed Ethan before nodded at him on the street. Teachers spoke his name with pride. Classmates whispered, not out of mockery, but respect. But Ethan stayed the same. When asked about it, he only said one thing: being hungry doesn't last forever. Doing the right thing does. For the elderly couple, it wasn't just a meal. It was dignity returned. For the businessman, it was a reminder that wealth has no value unless it meets compassion. And for Ethan, it was proof that even the quietest sacrifice can echo louder than applause. That night, lying in bed, Ethan felt something unfamiliar settle in his chest. Not hunger, not fear, hope. And he understood his father had been right all along. Character isn't built by what you protect. It's revealed by what you're willing to give away, even when it costs you everything. Acts of kindness don't always draw crowds, but they are never invisible to fate. Where are you watching from today? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this story moved you, subscribe for more powerful, true stories of sacrifice, dignity, and unexpected grace.